Moving into apartment 402 was for a long time the realization of my greatest dream. After years living in the chaos of downtown, I finally had silence, a clean view of the neighboring buildings, and, most importantly, the privacy I always believed I needed for my sanity. But silence is a double-edged sword. In a building where nobody looks at each other, where the neighbors are nothing but shadows crossing paths in the elevator, what happens when danger decides to ring your doorbell? It all started 3 nights ago. It was exactly 3:12 in the morning. I was in my home office finishing a report when I heard it. 3 slow knocks, heavy, dry, on my front door. My heart skipped a beat. I wasn't expecting anyone. I never am. I walked barefoot down the cold hallway, feeling every centimeter of the hardwood floor creaking beneath my feet. I pressed my face against the peephole, holding my breath so as not to make a sound. The hallway was drowned in that sickly yellow light that flickers every now and then. There was no one there, just emptiness. But on the floor, right in front of my doormat, there was an open pizza box. Steam was still rising from it, clouding the cold air of the hallway. I haven't ordered pizza in 2 years. Since that day, since the accident that changed everything, I felt a chill crawl up my spine. I opened the door, a mistake I will regret for the rest of my days, and looked both ways. The 4th floor hallway seemed endless that night. The smell coming from the box was not cheese or sauce. It was a metallic smell. Iron, the smell of fresh blood. I closed the door and locked every lock. The next morning, under my doormat, I found a handwritten note in trembling letters. Extra olives, just like you used to like them that day. My hands began to shake violently. That day. Only one person knew what I liked that day. But that person should not be here. She should not be anywhere. I spent the following night glued to the peephole. The building seemed to breathe. I could hear the elevator going up and down but never stopping on my floor. Until, around 2 in the morning, the hallway light went out. Total darkness. I looked through the small hole and for a second saw nothing. Then the light flickered once. And there he was. A man standing millimeters from my door. He was wearing a dirty, grimy delivery uniform and a helmet with the visor raised. But what paralyzed me was not his presence. It was the smile. A smile too wide, too little human, revealing teeth that looked shattered. And the eyes, those yellow, bloodshot eyes, fixed exactly on the peephole. He was not looking at the door. He was looking at me. He knew I was there. I tried to scream, but my voice got stuck in my throat. I called the building manager the next morning, trying to stay calm. He told me, in a tired voice, that the apartment across the hall, 401, had been empty for a long time. The previous tenant was a delivery man, a man who lost everything after a hit-and-run accident where the driver fled without stopping to help. He took his own life in that apartment, drowning in debt and pain. I felt the floor disappear. 2 years ago, on a rainy night, I felt the impact on my car. I saw the shape of the motorcycle falling in my rearview mirror. I was drunk. I was scared. And I drove away. Now I am locked in my bedroom. I can hear the sound of something metal scratching the wood of my front door out in the living room. It scratches, stops, and scratches again, as if it were writing something. I gathered my courage and went to the hallway one last time. I looked through the peephole. The man was no longer there. In his place, there was a mirror positioned in the hallway, reflecting my own door. But the reflection I saw in the mirror was not mine. It was his. The delivery man was inside my home, looking through the peephole from the inside, smiling at me while I tried to see who was out there. The peephole is meant to help us see who is outside, but sometimes it only serves to let our past watch us from within. I can smell pizza coming from the kitchen now, and I know that the time has come to pay the bill.